Alright ladies, let's not get our panties up in a bunch. Let me explain to you what is the mathematics and what are the numbers basically between fusing an R6 Everett right now versus fusing an R6 Everett into the future. Now, so I uploaded a picture very recently sent by Itachi Uchiha. Good shit by the way. So there is one big change in the way you're going to fuse Everett in the future, which is instead of 300 crystals per element, right now it's 900 crystals per element just for one extra copy of Everett. So they have increased the prices of crystals by 600 a piece across the board. So you need to multiply that by times 7 for example. But that is not all the cost, right? Because right now you need to have an R6 Odette as well in order to get an R6 Everett. So the way I believe it works is for your first copy of Everett, you need an R0 Odette, and for your second copy of Everett, you need an R1 Odette, etc, 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 all the way to your final copy of Everett. So by the time you have an R6 Everett, you must already have an R6 Odette. So R6 Odette is going to be compulsory. So that will be the change moving forward. So these are the numbers of the current 3.1.6 Everett R6 requirements. So in order to fuse one copy of Odette, you need 750 shimmer crystals, you need 300 of each of these crystals, and in order for you to fuse your first copy of Everett, you just need 4 copies of Odettes. Which means you need all of these times 4. As you can see the formula at the top here, it's all just multiplying all of these numbers by 4, which is how you get these numbers over here. This is perfect sense, right? Now, in order for you to then fuse an R6 copy of Everett, you just need to multiply all of these by 7 times because you just need 7 full copies of Everett. Each of them costs this amount. So therefore, you need 21,000 shimmer crystals, you need 8,400 of each of the elemental crystals as well. So these are all the crystals required. But what about the crystal requirement for 3.1.7? Let's take a look at that, right? So let's just clear all of these. Okay, so now in 3.1.7, these are the materials you need. So for one single R0 Odette, it is still going to be the same cost. There is no increase to her cost at all, which means that for an R6 Odette, you just need to multiply everything by 7. So this is going to be a requirement for an R6 Everett, right? So these are your total costs. Now for an R0 Everett, you need an R0 Odette, and on top of that, whatever that she cost in the past plus 900. So you have like 300 here plus another 900 in her formula. So that's how I got 1,200. Which means that in order for you to get an R6 Everett, you just need to multiply these 3 numbers by 7. And you also do the same for the shimmer crystals. But do take note that Everett himself does not technically require shimmer crystals. The shimmer crystals portion is based on the Odette portion. So that's why you do require 5,250 shimmer crystals, which you realize is actually a lot less than the current Everett requirement. So the current Everett requirement requires you to have 21,000 shimmer crystals, but the new Everett will only require you 5,250. Now, this is obviously much cheaper than this Everett, but some of you guys might also be asking this question. This might not matter as much because this could be the limiting factor right now. And that makes a lot of sense. That is a good question. So if let's say we were to fuse an R6 Everett right now, and we were sitting on a whole ton of extra shimmer crystals, then yes, this change would not matter at all because we will still need to farm up all of these requirements, right? All of these 8,400 crystals here, and therefore this would not matter. But that is not the case at all. So if you take a look at one of the videos that I uploaded in the past with respect to the requirements that I needed in order to fuse my R6 Everett, I actually had 13,124 extra inferno crystals on top of my R0 Everett, which means that I had somewhere about 14,300 crystals, right? I would have needed 14,300 inferno crystals in order for me to fuse an R6 Everett. Which means that the elemental crystals are not your limiting factor. The shimmer crystals itself is the true limiting factor. So essentially by reducing the shimmer crystals cost, you are reducing the limiting factor, and therefore it is indeed a lot cheaper to fuse an R6 copy of Everett in the future in terms of shimmer crystals. Or just in terms of desolate land farming altogether, right? It's going to be so much easier in terms of desolate land crystals to fuse your R6 Everett. But that's not all, because we also have to talk about Ascension. So, Daddy free to play, yes? Can you show us how much Ascension materials does it cost to fuse an R6 Everett? Yeah, sure Daddy, let's check it out. Okay, so over here, this is a video that I uploaded maybe a couple of months ago, and let Daddy explain to you how much Ascension materials is required for one copy of an R0 Everett right now. So we will need to get a phase 5 Ascension on our Odette, which means that we need 10 basic materials, 15 more basic materials, 10 advanced and 20 basic, 5 elite and 15 advanced, and then finally another 10 more elites and 25 more advanced. And this totals for one single odette to be 45 basics, 50 advanced, and 15 elites. And for you to fuse one copy of Everett, we will need 4 odettes at 5 Ascension, which is a total of 180 basics, 200 advanced, and 60 elite pieces. So, wow, thanks Daddy, you're a genius. So you need all that amount of Ascension materials just to fuse one R0 Everett. And right now you need 7 Everetts in total, which means you need 28 freaking odettes ascended to A5. So let's take a look at how much an odette costs at A5. These are the requirements as stated in the video. So if you want to have 28 copies of odette right now to fuse an R6 Everett, you need 1260 of basics, you need 1400 advanced, and you need 420 elites. This is a crazy amount of farming. As for the current odette, now we need only 45 basics, we need 85 advanced because we just need whatever that we have here, plus an additional 35 just to get the final Ascension, and 35 elite, which is such a big difference, dude. Take a look at this, such a big difference between these two numbers. So now not only is it cheaper in terms of crystals, it is also much cheaper, more than 10 times cheaper in terms of Ascension materials as well. So I feel like at the end of the day, okay, so the movement between 3.1.6 to 3.1.7 is still a good change for Everett. Yes, it is a little bit more pricey than whatever that we expected because they changed the numbers up a little bit, but things are still a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper. So here's the final verdict. Should you be fusing Everett now or should you be fusing Everett in 3.1.7? Definitely fuse him only in 3.1.7. Nothing has changed thus far. Yes, it is a little bit more expensive than whatever that we assumed, but it is still much cheaper. Much cheaper. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this answered your questions. Let me know if you have any other questions down in the comment section below. And if this video helped you, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.